players if I could, but then you would see that I was dressed like I was to go to bed. So yeah.
Simon, Dr. Vijit is already here, and I'll hand over the session to her.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. Sure.
Dr. Vijit, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Simon.
We'll start the session exactly at 4 o'clock. There's still 5 minutes to go. Swaleha, wait till it's 4 o'clock.
Okay, ma'am.
Please start exactly at 4. Swaleha, please start the formal proceedings.
Greetings and namaste. It gives me an immense delight to welcome you all on the session of Implications and Reflections of Well-being. As you know, well-being is the framework and the state of being comfortable, healthy, or happy. However, it is important to realize that well-being is a much broader concept than moment-to-moment happiness. While it does include happiness, it also includes other things, such as how satisfied people are with their whole life, their sense of purpose, and how in control they feel. Most people would agree that well-being is something they strive towards, and the subjective measures of people's well-being is deemed so important that it is included alongside health and the economy in the measures of national well-being. But once we look beyond the definition, it is difficult to drill down into what well-being really means to people day to day, the factor that may influence it, both internal and external, how we can best measure it, and how we can support people to improve it. Yet, that doesn't mean we should shy away from it either.
In fact, as Citium Zeno says, and I quote, well being is attained little by little and nevertheless is no little thing in itself. Primarily, the definition of well being can be stated as the way people feel and how they perceive it, both on a personal and social level, to evaluate their lives as a whole. Well being is a combination of our love for what we do each day, the quality of our relationship, the security of our finances, the vibrancy of our physical health, and the pride we take in what we have contributed to our communities. Most importantly, it is about how these five elements interact. To lead the session, I would now like to introduce Dr. Vijay Chaturvedi, a professor of human resource and organizational behavior at Amity Business School, a specialist in the area of change management, leadership building, and attitude building, along with a working experience of 17 years in corporate and academics. I now pass on the baton to ma'am for the rest of the session.
Thank you, Sahil, and thank you, Soleha. A very beautiful good afternoon and good evening to all of you. So, because it is a two-pointer agenda for today, 20 minutes, I talk with you with some practical understanding as takeaways as an extension of our yesterday's discussion. And in the remaining time, with respect to different case situations, as a part of implications, that will be taken up by different groups. So that is the agenda for today's session. So let us begin. I'm sure all of you must be feeling great. And as Sahil and Soleha added beautiful lines on what well-being is and certain things which we discussed yesterday with different perspective, both emotional as well as spiritual, let us accumulate it further and have some practical takeaways which we can make and ingrain as a routine part of our lives. So beautiful one word which I picked from Sahil, what you said probably was doing things which we love or doing certain things which adds value or which we enjoy. And so on, Soleha, you added with similar such meanings. So is it. Whenever we talk about well-being, it has all these components. It may be in form of the virtues which we appreciate. It may be in form of our past experience, the good memories, or maybe the learnings from not that so good memories and so on. Because whatever we are as a composite person, we are a combination of many things. Imagine we as one individual being and multiple roles that we explicitly showcase in our lives with different capacities, with different competencies, with different expectations, and with different experience. So to put together, it is about, as we said yesterday, a state of mind. And our responsibility is with this kind of state of mind, am I able or am I equipped enough to maintain the state which I prefer? Irrespective of whatever is happening in the surroundings, am I able to be in my center? And for that to happen, first I have to know what actually my center is. I have to be connected with it so that I understand it as best as possible. And further, how do I ensure that irrespective of my other responsibilities, irrespective of my multiplicity of role which I'm expected to deliver, still I am at center, the place where I have to be. It may be your state of mind. It may be a place which gives you enormous quantum of energy. It may be a place which keeps you anchored, attached, or it may be a feeling which brings you back irrespective of all the things which are happening in and around, which are obvious. So one such thing which gives us that enormous energy is if we are acquainted about our own self. What am I? What purpose do I fulfill? What makes me happy? Or irrespective of whatever different mix of opinions, different emotions, different thoughts which we generate, multiple numbers in every passing second, and so on. So for next 15 minutes, we will discuss about what it is when we say being with self, how do we do it, and certain experience. Because this can only be discussed, but our experience has to be individual. It is like we have to experience it at our own, because it cannot be passed. It has to be experienced self. So starting with this, being with self, why we have to be with ourselves. We'll talk about benefits. We'll talk about what comes in between me and myself. And then how do we circumvent it? How do we move ahead of it? Next slide, please. What are the different benefits of why I have to be with myself throughout the day? Whether you are in your professional capacities or in our personal capacities, we are with multiple things running around. Sometimes it is our task, multiple number of things which are directly, indirectly related to our task. The surroundings, whether it is physical, ecological, anything which is a part of your business, anything which is a part of your familial side, and so on. So surmounting all these things together, still why it is important that while I am delivering all these roles, all these tasks, still I am at my place where I have to be, irrespective of whatever noise outside or irrespective of multiple concentrically things surrounding me, I know where I have to be. So when you are with yourself, you experience a bit of silence. Silence, it is not about that dead silence of things which cannot speak, but it is about I'm able to hear my inner voice, because that gives you direction. So you experience silence, you experience that quietness, irrespective of the explicit role which we are delivering, but internally we are peaceful, whatever happy or not so happy situations in and around. Then it helps us to become sensitive, because while you are with yourself, a lot of things as thoughts pass by, a lot of things you introspect, a lot of things you are corrected, and most above it, you become conscious, whether it is about your own self, whether it is about things in and around, and then you are enabling yourself to zero down certain things or set filters in right accord. Apart from this, some other added benefits, for example, loving, compassion, a feeling of joy. You're always in that state. You're happy because you're not affected by things which have the capacity to affect your stability. Intelligence, because you are able to get a clarity on your thoughts. Aloneness, you enjoy with being with yourself. Individuality, you understand what you are as an individual. As we said, we are a reservoir within, that you are able to explore, that you are able to get your energies inward within when you start inward looking, when you start looking within. That we will talk of when we will experience this. And finally, the creativity. So these are certain benefits when you are with yourself, because you are completely with your own self. You are able to rethink about not only the present, but also what you can do further, which gives a lot of clues to you. So it is even a part of intelligence, because all the energy points, all your energies are streamlined. So that we will talk when we will talk about how do we do it. Next slide, please. Right. Then now when we move ahead, there can be many aspects of while I am with myself. I didn't want to start with that. We are going to talk about meditation. It is about you are with your own self. Since even if you do not want to convert it in form of a spiritual session, it is about how am I deriving my energies? How am I conserving, preserving, and effectively disseminating my energies, not only for myself, because then as a complete individual, I'm giving the same to others as well. So one very important while you are with yourself is preparation. In the sense, where are you sitting? What is the place? Is it quiet? Is it allowing you to feel yourself or not? What is the posture? In yesterday's session, we talked about the Eightfold Path of Patanjali, and therein we talked about posture. We talked about asana. How are we sitting? Because once we are sitting straight, all of our energy centers are intact and energy flow becomes effective. You're able to concentrate better. So asana is very important. And many a times we see when we are completely into something, we even forget how we are sitting. We forget whether we are sitting straight or we have bent a little and so on. Because posture reflects our absorption. And posture reflects the even flow as well. Similarly, comfort, are we comfortable in sitting or not? So like for example, it is suggested that while we are sitting and meditating, it should not be on the floor so that we are not directly passing our heat, and there is a medium between, any medium which is neutral, maybe a blanket or any cloth, a tussling or a silk cloth, which is between these two things. So that is the basic thing while we are meditating. Since we are not doing it in a physical mode, or just as a part of tips we can discuss, so whenever we practice, possibly these things could be considered. Then other 3-4 important things while we are with ourselves is playfulness. We have to be in a happy mode when you are with yourself. We are not sitting with a predetermined thought, because if we sit with a goal that I need to achieve this, it once again becomes a concentration exercise. It has to be a free flow, because it is not something which will lead to an end. It is an end unto itself. So if we expect certain things, certain result or some outcome, say in next 10 days or next 7 days and so on, you can't ensure a guarantee. You can't state a timeline that within 7 days, possibly you will experience something very transforming and so on. Because one, it has to be consistent. And secondly, you're doing it for yourself to be connected with self. So what you will explore, what you will discover is going to be an individual experience. So we should not preferably sit with that, what do I expect out of it? It is something which will automatically direct you. And enjoy. Enjoy whatever time you are with yourself, whatever time you're meditating, whatever time you are connected with yourself. As we said yesterday, there is no specific time. All the four passage or phases of the day, one can meditate. So that way, whenever we are doing it, certain essentials which have to be remembered and certain things which have to be don'ts, the obstacles, ego state. I kept doing it. If at all I do it, I will only focus upon myself and so on. Because whatever we develop, whatever we come up with, it is experienced by everyone. So if you are good, it is experienced by everyone. If certain things which possibly you think is not correct is also experienced by other people. So anything, whether it is a behavioral trait, whether it is any of your thought processes, anything which is your belief system, any ideology and so on. Because we are experienced by our thoughts, we are experienced by our behavior. So that reflections also people start getting when this starts transferring, when this starts building. So one obstacle is ego, which we have to keep aside. We are not looking anything out of it. Whatever I will experience is going to better in me, is going to add upon me, and is going to be joyful. Similarly, we don't have to play with mind tricks. We don't have to keep a lot of things together and then expecting whether I should focus on some sound or maybe on some light, or maybe I use maybe any fragrance, or maybe it could be a combination of the mode. So we don't have to switch on and switch off between. Let it be as simple, let it flow at a tone. Let it have its own path. It will direct you automatically. Of course, there are defined techniques of how do we do it, depending upon what kind of meditation we are doing, how we are connecting to self. But what is of utmost importance is we don't have to exaggerate, or we don't have to unnecessarily try to push ourselves into it. Let it be as simple as an experience. Let it be as simple as we see things, rather than prejudging them, or rather than stopping somebody and coming to a conclusion and so on. So we don't have to judge, we don't have to label, we don't have to preconceive, experience it at its fullest. And the other point, obviously, the judgment. We don't have to be judgmental about what we observed. We have to allow us to let experience it, and rest things will slowly, gradually fall to its place. So some ways or some techniques or some categories we will discuss in the next slide, and then we will go to the second part of the agenda for the day. Next slide, please. Right. So there are different ways by which we can do it. If at all, if few cameras can be open, probably while we are talking will make better sense. If few of you can please put on your camera if it is convenient, so that as we go on discussing 1, 2, 3, and the respective ideations which have been given, possibly if you want to practice it or if you want to little experience it is also possible. So for first category, I leave it upon you. If you're comfortable, can open it so that we can see each other, and anywhere you feel to stop and ask, can ask also. But if that is not comfortable, I mean, it is absolutely up to the audience. So the first and the most common technique, or the first and most common way by which we are with ourselves or to bring back you to yourself is breathing. That's why the initial exercises which is being focused, or while you are meditating, the first thing which you focus is how you are breathing, because we know this is the only proof that we are alive. It is the only evidence that we are living. A breath coming in is life. The breath which is going out is death. You do not know, because we are very confident, whether it is today, tomorrow, next 5 years, 10 years, we are very sure we will be there. But who has given that guarantee? So that's why it is said, for every breath which is going in, we should be thankful that we got an opportunity to experience so many beautiful things in this world. We were able to see, experience, learn, that feeling of togetherness, giving it back, whatnot. So that's why the first experience we have to realize and we have to experience is how are we, and nothing more beautiful than observing, nothing more beautiful than it can be, except like observing your breathing. So maybe even if I cannot see you, but if at all the audience can do it, it is breathing meditation, or focus how we breathe. Most of the times we do not even realize how are we breathing. We breathe, unconsciously. So if at all we are able to breathe consciously, you are once again reconnected to yourself. Your stress level goes down, your heart rate becomes okay, you're able to focus on things better. If you're in an anxious stage, that becomes normal, and you are once again able to focus better, concentrate better, if at all you are doing a watchful or a mindful breathing. Whether you are in a marketplace, whether you are driving, whether you are walking on the road, whether you are listening to your session, whether you are speaking, it is irrespective of whatever other physical activity we are doing. But if at all we are watchful of our breathing, believe me, once you do it, as I said, it has to be experienced. So once you experience it, you will realize what is the importance of breathing, or how effective conscious breathing brings us at our place, at the center of what I was talking about. So maybe for next, say, not even half a minute. Now, the next time when you are breathing, next time in the sense, the next breath is coming to you, just do a conscious breathing. How does your diaphragm is pushed forward? How when you are breathing, it is pushed forward, and how do you release it goes back? Try to watch your breathing. In exercise during breathing, or while we do a breathing meditation or the preliminary breathing exercise, you can even do in a count. So inhale at a count of 4, pause, exhale at a count of 4. And this, when practiced slowly, gradually, you are able to control your life forces. You are able to control the way in which you are breathing. Because as said, the only evidence is you are alive is you are breathing. And if you are able to control this life force, what not you can control. You're able to control the way your prana shakti is functioning within you. So watchful breathing or careful breathing. That could be one of the technique, that is one of the exercise. Be watchful of your breathing. Have a comfortable count, whatever is convenient. It can be 2, it can be 4, it can be 6, or it can even be up to 10. If at all you can fill your lungs fully with good oxygen, and then completely release it so that it is completely empty, and then you breathe it again. So imagine the movement while you are breathing in. Imagine the moment while it is going out. With a pause, you are able to realize you are taking it complete, and then you are releasing it also complete. There are different steps. What we do generally in the breathing meditation. It can be with a pause. It can even be you exhale first and then inhale. So with a double sound of you exhale first and then you inhale fully. Maybe at a count of 4, Pause, maybe with the same counts of 1, 2, 3, 4, and then release. Complete. And you will feel relaxed. Your forehead, your throughout, wherever the energies were little dissuading, you will feel you are back at your center. So while working, while listening, while multiply doing many tasks, this is one exercise which brings you back. Whether you are doing it by having a watchful breathing exercise, or whether it is with the help of pausing exercise, and so on. One more beautiful technique within the breathing meditation is, we must not have experienced it, and I'm sure all of you must be wearing your footwears. So if at all, we would have little more time otherwise, then probably you would have done it. But still, you can do it. I'll just give the important points while we do it, and possibly if time permits, and possibly if you are comfortable, even it can be done. So if at all, you can remove the footwear, your foot on the floor, and try to breathe from your soul. So this is called soul breathing from the soul. We must not have done it because we are in a habit of breathing starting from our navel, going up, and then releasing it. Possibly the only feeling we get is at our navel point only. But if at all you experience, even if it is for 1 minute, 2 minutes, feel that you are breathing from your soul. You are breathing from your soul, starting from the root chakra. You are connected to the Mother Earth. You are connected to the, technically calling floor, but you are connected to Mother Earth. Breathe from there. You are connected to your roots. You are connected to, to the Mother Earth, with the gratitude that you are able to walk. You are able to give all your burden to it. The way we are using it, and we will keep using it. So try to breathe from the soul, starting from the toe to the tip. Feel your breath as if you are breathing from the soul. Slowly, gradually, from your feet, it is moving upwards to the lower part of your body, then to the upper part of the body, breathing it complete, at least up to maybe the mid portion of your eyebrows, the Ajna chakra, and then finally it is going. And while you are releasing it, it is same way going downstairs. It is going down, and then you are expelling your breath through the last point, which is soul. So taking from the soul and giving it back to the soul. Feel complete. If you are able to increase that length, imagine you are once again controlling your prana energy, your life energy. You are breathing slowly. You have controlled the rate of breathing itself. So this is what we call as soul breathing. That also possibly can be done. Other technique apart from controlling on breathing, or your preliminary breathing exercise, can be chakra meditation. We had talked about chakras, different 7 chakras located across the spines, and their relevance and what physiological benefits do they carry. The same breathing exercise can be connected or can be aligned with chakra meditation also. So when we know the location of our each chakra, you can, while you are breathing, you can set the pace, you can set the speed of your breathing accordingly, passing through every chakra, going from root chakra, the Swadhisthana, and then again, finally through the highest chakra, the 1,000-petaled rose, like the highest chakra, coming up to there. So feel that and then release it in the same way. So that is also one of the way wherein every chakra you are spending some time, every energy point you are spending some time, because these are physical manifestations of our energy points. So every energy point you are giving some time, and then you are passing it on that way, connecting to the higher being, the supreme being, or maybe letting it go back. So that is also one of the way. So it can be with the help of breathing. It can even be with the help of sound. So if at all you are doing the sound meditation, you can focus upon the chakras along with the breathing, along with aligning yourself with the sound and doing it. And also it can be associated in form of a prayer as well. That is a second technique. The third very common method is focusing on heart. What is the importance of heart? We all understand, we all know. The Anahata chakra, the heart chakra. Because whatever we feel, we express it by way of whatever we feel in our heart, emotions, our feelings, good or bad, whatever. So heart, all of us understand what is, apart from the physiological role of circulating the blood, purifying the blood, ensuring that oxygen is present in every cell of our body, focusing on our heart. So when we meditate on heart, that feeling of compassion, love, truthfulness, high energy, everything beautiful can be felt. It can be aligned with some background situation as well. So imagine anything and everything which was not so good, any experience which was not so good, anything which was you do not appreciate a lot, all those memories coming in with your breath. You focus on your heart is transforming it into bliss, into beautiful light, into beautiful energy. And now when you are expelling your breath, or now when you are releasing your breath, it is coming out in form of that blissfulness. It is coming out in form of that joy. It is coming out in form of that, that state of happiness. So I take in anything and everything which was not so good, and my heart is converting it into all beautiful things. So there is no bitterness, there is no bad experience, there is no sorrow, there is no grief. And as I exhale, it is in form of all things which are back into its center. Beautiful. No such experience which is making me feel low or which is exhausting my energies and so on. And when you repeat the focus on heart meditation along with a breathing exercise, you start feeling this point. You start feeling that energy. You become conscious of your heart. You become conscious of the energy which it is giving to you. So along with that, there can be many other background methodologies which can be aligned while you are focusing on heart. It can be with a light heart technique as well. And similar other things can also be done, but this is a very simple thing. Because as an individual, if we can recollect, and we can transform and we can give it back when we are exhaling in form of joy all around, you create that aura of happiness, of contentment, and of joy, of course, Paramananda. Similarly, it can be whirling meditation. Way back, we must have seen little children, possibly in kindergarten classes, with one hand up, other hand down, revolving, moving, and feeling happy. This is also a kind of meditation, whirling meditation, move around, because you are creating energy. We also must have seen, especially in Indian context, Sufis. So Sufis, they do move in this direction, or even in other sects as well, even in Hinduism as well, wherein Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, they revolve around, put their hands above, or even in different religions, this is a very, very common practice. So whirling meditation is you are putting your right hand upward, left hand facing down, and then moving and moving, because you are creating that energy around. You are forgetting anything and everything else. You are only into that state of joyfulness, even if it is for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, or 4 minutes. Because obviously, as you are moving in the anti-clock direction, then after the passage of time with gravity, you have to come back to the normal situation, and then comfortably you sit back, because you have already created a lot of energy. Close your eyes for a minute and feel that energy. And that feeling will be an experience. Try to experience it. As I said, little, if you would have done it, you would have experienced it. But since that is not a possibility, but try to do it, try to experience it with your own. Let it be an individual experience. Whirl around for 2-3 minutes, 4 minutes in anti-clockwise direction. Once you feel your body is automatically coming to rest, sit down, close your eyes, feel comfortable, and feel that energy. It will bring you back to your center. So that is also one of a very interesting technique of whirling meditation. Similarly, there are techniques like focusing on light or focusing on sound. There can be number of ways in which light or even fragrance can be a medium to which we want to remain connected. Actually, these all things, when you need a medium to concentrate, as we were talking in yesterday's Eightfold Path of Patanjali, when you need a medium, it is a subvikalp. Once you are above this stage, once you know what is my center, how I have to be in it, then it will become nirvikalp. You don't need a choice. You don't need an alternative. Automatically, you and the state becomes one. Your state becomes your originality. That communion happens. Once you have realized that higher level of consciousness, you do not need even any medium to concentrate further. So, but since we are all, we have all just began our journey, possibly with a medium, we can take it ahead. So it can even be a light, it can even be a sound. Or it can even be a touch. So imagine when we shake our hands, what do we feel? We see we are exchanging our feelings, we are, we are greeting each other, or and so on. But actually what we are doing, we are exchanging our warmth. It is the warmth. It is the warmth of one person coming to the other person, and thus you feel that heat. So it is about touch. If you close your eyes, feel the touch of your mother, feel the touch of your parents, feel the touch of your siblings, or any of the loved ones. Doesn't it create an automatic feeling of joy within us? Because automatically it leads you to that experience. So that beautiful touch is also something which we can meditate upon. Even that is also one of the method of meditation. One thing I forgot when possibly I was talking about heart meditation. One other technique could be having a headless meditation. Forget you have a head. Sounds very awkward, but true. Because we are in a habit to think, and without thoughts, we can't even imagine ourselves. So feel headless. Feel you don't have a head, and then meditate. Possibly when we feel, then where am I thinking? Where am I meditating? As if meditation is only happening here. Though we need a medium when we say that focus on the eye chakra, focus on the Ajna chakra when you are meditating. But for some time, imagine you don't have a head, headless, here, there, without a head. You will feel relaxed, awkward, but workable. Awkward, but it will give you some change. So whenever you feel overexhausted, feel you don't have it. Sit comfortably, feel your energies. Relax. Do not think of anything. So even a headless meditation is one of the technique. Other interesting 4:31, 2-3 more minutes, then I wind up and we pass on. We will go for our second point, the second agenda for the day. So other method is gibberish. Gibberish meditation. Gibberish, we all understand. Gibberish means nothing which has a meaning, nothing which is logical, nothing which is rational. So think of a language which you do not know. If you know Hindi, English, or your regional language, forget you know it. Any other specific language that you know, forget that you know it. Think of a language which you have never learned. Think of a language which you do not know. And whatever is in your mind, which is bothering you, which is affecting you, which is exhausting your energies, come up with it. Whether it is for a person, for a situation, for an object, and so on. We must have seen these kind of techniques even in some of the movies as well, but it works. So any language you understand, any language that you do not understand, just keep speaking it. One of the Sufi Jabbar gave this technique of gibberish. He used to speak in a language which nobody understood because it was not a language. So anything and everything which will not give any interpretation keeps you relaxed. Doesn't mean we have to consistently do it, but it means whenever we are feeling stress, you are able to come back to your center when you have thrown it out. Like in heart meditation, you are taking all not so welcoming things within, converting it and coming it out in form of light, or letting it go in form of energies, so that whatever you give further in and around is also beautiful. Same way gibberish. So if I say, if I'm feeling bad about something, anything, any incident, any experience, any object, any person, any situation, so I keep speaking something like that, because you will not understand it. So neither you will feel bad nor I will feel bad, but I will feel relaxed. I will feel I have vented out whatever was not so appreciating, and then with a deep breath out, you feel relaxed. So do it, but of course ensure that people are not watching you. You're alone, your doors are shut, else people will feel we are gone insane. So gibberish. So gibberish meditation is also one of a very good technique which helps you to revive you back with your energies. Other beautiful and very peaceful last technique is just sitting. Not doing anything. Sitting in your balcony, watching people outside the road moving around, children playing, somebody coming from office, somebody moving around with parents, somebody playing something, somebody gymming in, somebody walking, anything. Just watch. Because what generally happens, if we are seeing anything, if we are looking at anything, immediately we start since our mind, obviously the mind keeps working. It is even wrong to say that in meditation mind stops working. It never stops. Nobody can stop it. Only thing is you don't have to entangle with the thought, as we said yesterday. Let the thoughts come and go. Do not just see them, view them, witness them, but don't get engrossed. Don't get with them. So same way, simply watch, like you watch a flower, like you watch anything, which is appreciating or anything. Let you be neutral, simply watching. Let not any thought, let not any judgment, let not any preconceived notion affect it and leading any kind of impression coming to your mind. Simply watch. So it helps you to even becoming non-judgmental. It helps you to look things with a neutral perspective, thus understand things in a much deeper way. And thus, whatever decision we take in our lives, whether it is related to our personal or professional things, we are able to visualize it better. We are able to understand it with much more deeper sense had it been when we would have superficially understood and interpreted it very quickly. So simply sitting, even if you're seeing a sky, even if it is a sky meditation, let it be without anything, because that makes you complete. You will be at your center with all the things happening, like you do a walk in morning or evening. So many people pass by. We do not stop everybody and we talk to them. They just pass by. So let the thoughts come and go and let you be at your center. Whatever is happening in and around is a part of our life, but we don't have to forget whatever we are in with it, whatever we are in with, that we have to remember where our center lies. There are many such techniques we could have talked of, but I'm sure with the techniques which we have talked about, starting from breathing, going to gibberish, or simply sitting and watching gives you a lot of relaxation, helps you to be in your center irrespective of whatever is happening. So enjoy your being and be in your being. That gives completeness. I think that was a slide. This makes our first agenda over. And now we come to the second segment of our today's session. Next slide, please, which is on some case situations. Okay, last slide. I'm sorry. So those were the benefits which we get, though verbally we have talked about them, but few benefits which have been mentioned in the last slide. If you can please go to the last slide once. Right. So types of being this way. Oh, this was a slide. So I thought some more benefits. Fine. Then we can move to the case situation. So some case situations have been given. I will request the respective group which has prepared. Next slide, please. The respective group which has prepared its understanding on the case to discuss so that it makes sense for all of us. Implications. Case study number 1, asking about how do we manage if we would have been at this place. May I request the respective group which has taken the case, worked upon, to share their opinion, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Hello,
Harshal. Yeah, sure.
So, ma'am, we worked upon the case, and ma'am, we found out that, ma'am, actually, ma'am, so, ma'am, first I read the case study or just I continue? Or you will brief?
The case study could be read. I think since your group has worked on it, your group can come up with their suggestions and their observations and what would you like to suggest. 5 minutes for each group. Go ahead, please.
Okay. So, ma'am, what I infer is that, ma'am, Anmol is unable to deal or discriminate between the personal and professional ethics at a time. He is unable to make ethical choices and implement them in his personal and professional fronts. So, ma'am, what I feel is that getting in a panic state is never considered to be a profitable solution to any problem. Complications arising in between the personal and professional life are quite obvious. Hence, there is no need to get panic. Instead, look for something that can make the both sides well maintained. So, ma'am, steps should be taken in such a way that productivity remains unaffected. So, ma'am, most therapists are there, idea from the experts go well in this situation. And ma'am, as a manager, Anmol is a leading manager. So as a manager, he set the example for whole of the workforce that the leader how to maintain the work life, balancing the work or life, so that he set a benchmark in the company. So everyone follows it and everyone sees to it how Anmol is tackling the problem. Instead of panicking, he can set a benchmark. And ma'am, what I feel that so ma'am, if problems are there, problems will come and go. If we bothered only with problems, we will never overcome with all of this. Separating both the life and perform all the work with utmost sincerity, separating both the life help us to live happily.
Absolutely. Are your group members also going to share, or are you representing your group, Harshal?
No, ma'am. Two lines, ma'am. Each group member will represent.
Okay, okay. Go ahead. The other group member can take the lead.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
ma'am,
ma'am.
I think what one should do in a case where an emotional outbreak occurs during work caused by a personal emergency is that they should take a break or time out for like 30 minutes or so. And they should calm themselves down through deep breathing or relaxation exercises, as you mentioned earlier. One should always focus their mind on one thing at a time. And if the situation is getting out of control, they should talk to their seniors and maybe try taking a leave for the day. In case of an encounter with people causing an emotional outburst, like the one described in this case, so after calming down, one must apologize for the behavior, even if the person is your subordinate, and say that your state of mind was very clouded and such, but still that it was not an appropriate behavior on your part. And after the incident, when you are in a calm state of mind, you should make note of the points that lead to the situation and try to avoid similar shortcomings in future. That's from my side, ma'am.
Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
So, first of all, good evening, everyone. So my point of view is the reason for this emotional outburst was like he must have entered in some kind of argument or heated debate with his wife. So that's why he was in such an emotional state where he actually took it out on his intern. So, how to deal with this situation is he should have a great presence of mind so that he is able to distinguish between where he is right now. Like he's in office, he's right now working. So he should be there, like he should know where he is. And for that, with other my team, like Abhijit and Harshul have said, like he should perform some exercise, he should calm his mind so that he can think rationally. So that's from my side.
And ma'am, to deal with such cases, we can do is don't
Absolutely.
carry.
I think, how much managing emotion is important. Okay, yes, Ishita, please go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, we should not carry our office matters or home matters to office or home. We should separate them, and so people must do such activities which can relax their mind, like meditation. And people should prioritize their work. So what can they can do at on an urgent basis, and find out strength and focus on it. And ma'am, last, sometimes when life gets really exhausting, it is important to throw off our negative energy by doing meditation. So the main conclusion is that we can meditate ourselves to relax our mind.
Right.
Thank you,
So
ma'am.
we should know our emotions. Absolutely. I think from all of you, one thing is quite common. We should know our emotions and how we have to regulate them. That is the key of possibly all of you added on, right? From Harshul to you, to Abhijit, to Riya and Ishita. Great. Thank you. Second case study, please. And
Thank you,
before
ma'am.
presenting it, please ensure not more than 4 minutes you all take. So 1 minute per person per group so that we can wind up timely. Yeah, go ahead, please. Case study 2.
So, ma'am, I would be speaking first on this case study. Ma'am, according to this case study, that Rave and Daisy were our best friends.
Any one of you can start? Any one of the group member? Quickly, please.
Ma'am, am I audible?
Ma'am, Ayushi Sharma is speak.
Okay. Yeah, Ayushi, please go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. So, as I was saying, ma'am, that according to this case study, as Rave and Daisy were best friends and they were separated after the new company took over. So, ma'am, according to me, the new company should have thought about the employee satisfaction and thought about that without informing the employees, giving them any prior notice about changing their positions. They should have at least contacted them first and asked about their preferences, whether they are comfortable with other people. As in an office atmosphere, people working together from a longer period of time tend to give the better outcome. So here employee satisfaction could have been the have played a major role in accepting that Rave and Daisy should be kept together, or they should have informed priorly that, and they could have made themselves comfortable in a longer period of time.
Okay, are you through, Ayushi? So prior information and participation, I think, is the point which you which you wish to bring. Okay, other group members, you can put your comment. I think some network issue. Yeah, other group members.
Anisha, ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, Anisha, please go ahead.
So, ma'am, as in this case study, Rave and Daisy were the best friends and they were shifted to different departments and they were not able to focus on their work. So, I guess Rave and Daisy should be told in advance about the losses that the company is facing so that they can prepare themselves in advance for it. Even they should be given proper training so that even if they have to work separately and not in a team, they can manage themselves without any problem. Secondly, motivation is the main factor. The employee should be motivated enough so that they are both physically and mentally available. If they are only physically available and not mentally, then they won't be able to work for the profit of the company and the company will be in the loss. So both the physical and mental attention is required for the employees to work and to increase the profit of the company. And in this, emotional intelligence is very important to make the employees feel comfortable so that they can work according to them and also for the company. So that's it from my side.
Absolutely, that's the point. So when you said physical and emotional complete presence, that is what we were rather even talking when we said completely we have to be there at the workplace. Great. Any other member would like to comment on this?
Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Ma'am, according to me, there were basically three problems in this case study. First, there was a frequent change in the organization. Second, there was no prior information given. And third, there was a communication gap between the employees and the manager. So, according to me, the manager must have tried to decrease the frequency of changes, and that would have helped the employee in adapting the changes. Second, there must be prior information and mindset development, and it should be a must. And using emotional intelligence, he must talk to both the employees and explain them the reason behind the change and take them under confidence for of his leadership. And that's it from my side.
Absolutely, that's the way the transparency could be generated, and people people should have been taken in confidence. Absolutely, that is about a right work culture or right work environment. Great. Okay, so can we move to the next case study, third case study? 4:47. By 4:55 we should be through with the case so that 5 minutes of question answers we can do. Okay, the group member which has chosen this may please start.
Good evening, ma'am. Shreyansh Gupta this side.
Yes, Shreyansh, go ahead, please.
So I would be talking about the problems that the company was facing. I think that the problems that were facing was the financial crunch in allocation of the financial resources, and also there was a fault in the HR planning of the company. They didn't, while planning for the company, they didn't work well on the financial resources and the HR and the problems that they would be facing after the growth of the business. And they didn't even thought about how to deal with the challenges. That's all from my side, ma'am.
Absolutely. The root cause diagnosis of what led to it. Okay. Other group members of third case study?
Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, dear. Please go ahead.
Ma'am, so basically,
yes.
So ma'am, basically in this case, we can see that the customer service support personnel is being overloaded with work. In the last para, we can also see that corporate customers are sometimes serviced by a customer service support person who is not their main point of contact, which can be stressful and difficult for the customers to explain their problems again and again to a new person. And this will also lead to dissatisfaction and customers and will waste a lot of time, and will also lead to confusion and conflict between customer and corporate employee. So according to me, customers are the lifeblood of your business, and in this digital era, the organization should please their customers, should work to satisfy their needs. In this case, the organization should recognize the need to hire additional staff, and should consider the perspective of the customers. And we can see that there is clearly lack of emotional intelligence. The organization can support teamwork, can also help in developing social skills of the employees, and can encourage flexibility and problem solving so that the employees could be able to easily solve the problems and avoid confusion. That's it from my side, ma'am.
Absolutely. So starting from financial and HR issues to how it can be aligned to internal policy so that overall work environment, culture, and thus the experience along with the market presence can be ensured. Right. Very correctly summarized. Any other group member of third case study? Shreyansh, Tanya, we are through. Okay. So then we can move to the fourth case study and the respective group which we have taken, which has chosen this case study 4. Go ahead. Yes, Sanjana?
Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, in this case study, there was a police officer, Mukul, who was not getting a leave, and the senior, which was Sub-Inspector Sandeep, he was not.
Yes, Sanjana? Go ahead, please.
Ma'am, I think she's facing some technical issue.
Sanjana, we are not able to hear you. Okay, you can continue, Vanshika. She's back, it seems.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
That's okay. Please continue. Please
Yes,
continue.
ma'am.
451.
So, in this case study, the sub-inspector Sandeep was not giving him leave. So, ma'am, in this situation, I think Mukul was lacking in emotional intelligence, and as a police officer, it is a must required skill, and which was lacking. And because of the reaction which he gave, his whole life is going to suffer now. So rather than doing that, he could have applied for leave for the to the higher authorities.
Okay, okay. That could have been an immediate intervention. Yes, Vanshika. And then we go to Jafran and then Shagun. Vanshika, your take on this?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, according to me, what he was suffering was because of the sub-inspector. The sub-inspector was not, he was not in a state of mind where he could understand the difference between right and wrong. The thing that he was doing to Mukul's wife and his family was not right. Morally, it was not right. But when it comes to emotional level, even he was not wrong at his part, because he was into, emotional attachment with Mukul's wife. But that is morally not right. What Mukul could have done, instead of in the heat of the moment, he just reacted. That was obviously a reaction of how Sandeep acted towards his wife. In the response to that, he should not have just in the heat of the moment fired. He should have complained about it. When he was seeing it again and again happening, he could have complained it to the higher authorities, as Sanjana said. That could have been one possible way of handling the situation.
Absolutely. The cool mind could have thought about even about the organization and losing a good talent. Absolutely.
Right.
Shagun, your important take on this, and then Jafrin, and then 5 minutes for question answers. Shagun, 1 minute, go ahead.
According to me, both Mukul and Sandeep were at fault. If Mukul had high emotional intelligence, he would have controlled his emotions and prevented his emotions from turning into this action. And ma'am, on the other hand, even Sandeep is irresponsible. And as a police inspector, he should have controlled his temptations and identified that Mukul already got agitated and had once protested against him also. And if both had high emotional intelligence, then I think they both could have controlled their feelings and not behaved this way.
Absolutely. A self-control was required. That's why repetitively, most of you are talking about emotional intelligence as well. Fair enough.
Yes.
Right. Jafrin, over to you.
Good afternoon, ma'am. So first of all, ma'am, I would like to address that there had been some workplace ethical irregularities from Sandeep's side. Though I would suggest that both the people should have had emotional intelligence in a high manner, ma'am, because law enforcement officers, ma'am, already face from so many stress problems, ma'am, and have so many workplace issues, ma'am, because of which, ma'am, they should be able to deal and separately address their personal as well as professional life, where in this case it is clearly visible that the personal and professional life are both mixed, which may have resulted in this kind of decision. But if there would have been high emotional intelligence, the officer would have been able to enhance his conflict management skills and manage his personal and professional stress.
Absolutely. So a self-control, clarity on what we are doing, and it will hold on our decisions, that level of consciousness or that level of thoughtful behavior, possibly with a mix of things which you all told, would have created a complete well-being. Thank you, all of you. Wonderfully created, and happy to hear from young minds. You know, you're all able to think with such a wide horizon. Thank you, all of you. Okay, we can move to next slide, and then we can take up the question and answers. 4:55. So key takeaways, all of you, we started with what is emotional and spiritual well-being, different parameters. We talked about spiritual way of looking to it, which is, even if we forget the definition, what is more important is we are very important. If we are loving ourselves, if we are complete in ourselves, we are able to give it back. So whatever works for you, we should take, but overall purposes, we have to be happy. We have to utilize whatever best potentials we have, and above all, as good human beings, make our life much, and at best purposeful. So that is from my side formally, and any questions from any one of you is most welcomed. Any questions from anyone? Fine,
Dr. Vijit, we thank you for taking such a wonderful session.
I pass it to.
I'm sure everybody's really learned a lot. And I've seen such a great student participation. So thank you so much. Heartfelt thanks. And we would now wind up the session, and unless students have anything to say.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, students. If you have any questions, you can ask, else you can even email us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
A big thank you. Yeah, really interesting. And I even find your voice very relaxing when you were doing the first half. Even your voice is a part of the relaxation process as well, I think.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye, Simon. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Good day, all of you.